Audio is a very important part of your movie project. Making sure your audio is full, clear, and properly mixed is as vital as having good, clean video footage. Let's take a look at some of the basic tools here for working with audio and your audio levels on your timeline. Now, there are a number of places you can adjust your audio levels. In Vegas, you can adjust your audio level on the individual event, that is the clip that's on your timeline. You can adjust your audio level for your entire track at once, or you can adjust the audio level for your entire movie at once. As you're adjusting your audio, one thing to watch, though, is your audio level. And don't trust what's coming out of your computer speakers. You may have those set loud or quiet. The only way you can really judge if your audio level is correct is by looking at the VU meters, or the audio level meters. If you look over in the upper right-hand side there of the interface, you'll see the master. This is the simplest way to see your audio level. And I'm just going to play a section of my movie, and you'll see that I have the audio level set here so that they're full, and yet they don't overmodulate. And I'll tell you what that means in just a second. So I'm going to just press the L key to play. And you see that those are nice and full. Their lines are green, and they go most of the way up the meter. Okay, they go most of the way up those lines, but they don't hit a point where they become red. If your audio is too high, if it's too loud, and it gets red, or if sometimes you'll even see a little warning in the top of each meter to tell you that it's peaking beyond the levels, when you're way up there, you'll get what's called overmodulation. You won't hear it out of your computer speakers, but when you finally output your video, output your DVD or your Blu-ray, it's going to sound distorted. It's going to sound really bad, so you want it to be full but not overly modulated. Here is how you adjust the audio levels for an individual event on your timeline. The easiest way to do that, I'm going to widen some of these. I have my tracks here set very, very narrow. I'm going to just widen this track by just grabbing on that seam and stretching it down. And we'll just take a look at that. And you notice on my audio track, I'm going to zoom in a little by using the roller on the mouse. I could also use the up key on the keyboard to zoom in. And you can see that my audio level is set to a certain gain, and that gain is represented by a waveform on my timeline. You can see the little waveform there underneath the clip of the man talking on the phone. I can raise and lower that gain level just by clicking and grabbing on that little gain controller at the top of the clip. When I drag that down, you see the gain gets lower or higher. The music that is on the track below it is set to the perfect gain level. That is full but not overmodulated. And you can see that I actually reduced the gain level by 2.2 decibels to make it so that it was at an acceptable range. As you're adjusting your audio, most often you're going to be adjusting for the individual events on the timeline. You're going to be adjusting the audio level specifically for your events. If you want to adjust them for your entire track at once, you can do that also. So say, for instance, we look at audio track 6. That's the red one there that's right above the music. Suppose this is all people talking, conversations happening in the room, and I want to take that volume down or remove it completely. I can do that for the entire track at once. Now you can see over on the left on the track header, you can see we have a little slider for adjusting the level. It's kind of compressed right now because the track header is compressed. So I'm just going to select the track and drag down to make it a little wider. And you can see when I do, I have a little more access to it. It's got its own little VU meter. See it to the right of the track header? And when I play my audio, you can watch the VU levels or the audio levels for that particular track. And you'll see they're very different than the audio levels for the music on the track below it. So let's just play that little segment, and you'll see I'll press L. And you can see that I'm hearing both the audio level of the person on the phone and I'm hearing the music's audio level. If I were to say want to remove the audio from that entire track, I can do that by just taking the volume slider here that's on my track header and dragging it down. And that will adjust it for the entire track. See what's happening because I have all of my track headers selected. It's making the adjustment for all tracks. I don't want that to happen, right? So I'm going to just deselect my tracks here, make sure that I'm only selecting this track, and now I can make the individual adjustment for the track. And here I'll bring this down. And now, if you watch the VU meter that's on the right-hand side of that audio track, you'll see that I've greatly reduced the audio level of the track that's on the upper track. So that's one way to do it. You can make adjustments to individual events on the timeline, or you can make adjustments to the track itself. I'm going to reset that to 0 because there's a third way to do it, and that is the master control for your audio, and that is over here on the right-hand side. You can see that there's a slider next to those meters. So if for some reason my entire movie was too loud, I could reduce its level by dragging down that slider. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a part of my movie, and I'm going to drag down the slider. This is called riding the gain. I'm going to drag down that slider as I'm playing it, and you'll see how it will reduce the volume for the entire movie. So let's just reset my playhead back here, and we'll press L to play and watch me ride that gain down. So you can make those adjustments, and those will be overall adjustments for the entire movie. That means all audio for the entire movie will be adjusted at the same time as you adjust the gain level on the master controller. Now, we have been looking at individual meters. There are some on the track headers to the right-hand side, and we have a master control. There is a better way when you're concentrating on your audio. There is a better way to be able to look at every single track and make sure that all of your tracks are mixed as you'd prefer. And to see that, you just go to your View menu and select Audio Mixer or Mixing Console. And here, if I expand this, you'll see that every track that has audio on it is represented here. And if I were to play this, I can see what the levels are for all audio tracks. Sometimes you're mixing your audio tracks, but generally you want one to dominate. Maybe it's the narration, maybe it's the music, maybe it's the dialogue, and the music is in the bed in the background. In this particular movie, I want to start out with my music dominating, and then I want my dialogue to come in. So watch the meters as I just play this short segment of my movie.
Here are the copies of the Bell contract you asked for.
And see what happened? I started out with my music kind of dominating the scene, and then I fade out my music. And once I fade out my music, then the dialogue comes in, and that comes in at a nice full level. It fills the VU meter, but it does not peak beyond. It does not peak out in the red where it would cause distortion from overmodulation. So I can see the mixing console. By the way, there's another way to see the mixing console if you want. You can even just put the program into audio mixing mode, and we can do that by selecting the View menu, go to Windows Layout, and select Audio Mixing. That will toggle it into audio mixing mode. You will see each of the audio tracks represented by their own VU meter, as well as a master control and a master meter also. Again, don't trust your computer speakers, but use the mixing console. It's the best way to know what your audio levels are. So it's important to monitor and control your levels of your audio for your individual events, for your audio tracks, and for your overall project. At various times when you work, you'll want to monitor and possibly adjust each. Remember that good, full, and well-mixed audio is a vital part of a good, well-made movie project.